Hello and welcome to Fur, Fins, and Feathers. Believe it or not, but this is our 68th episode, and today we are honored to have a local children's author from Rhode Island. Good afternoon, and you are?
Filomena Piccolino.
Filomena, welcome to our show.
Thank you for having me.
I'm very honored to have you, to have finally met you,
Yes.
and we're very honored to have you.
Thank
Tell
you.
us about your book.
Okay, well, this is my first children's book. I'm hoping to write more. It is entitled The Lion Who Couldn't Roar. I initially wrote this book in middle school, and it was entered into a young authors contest for the state of Rhode Island and my city of Cranston, where I went to middle school. And it was actually chosen to represent, it won, and it was chosen to represent the city of Cranston and myself and others to represent Rhode Island for the Young Authors Award. So it was pretty exciting. At that time, especially being super introverted, and it was a really big deal for me to actually have accomplished something like that at such a young age.
Did you always like books?
I did, but I usually, more of things that I would imagine on my own, not so much to sit and actually read a book, but actually make up my own stories. And the initial book, when it first started, it was more like a scrapbook, and I made my own illustrations, and it was handwritten. I enjoyed doing things like that, just using my own imagination.
And you were in middle school?
I was, yes.
And then what happened?
Then after, went through middle school, and it kind of sat in a bin for a little bit. As I got older, I went to, college, and it always was near and dear to me, but it really kind of was set aside. And then once I was married, I had my own children, I took the book out of the bin that it was in, and I saw how much my boys enjoyed it. And they really liked it and how they interacted with the character and asked questions. And being a special educator and seeing that with my boys and how they interacted with the book, I thought, maybe I should revisit it and try to get it published.
And why is this story so special?
Well, it actually has a lot of different themes to it. When I initially wrote it, it is about a lion who cannot roar, and he just couldn't understand why. There was the other animals made fun of him, and he just continued to feel badly about that and tried to find answers. That's how it first started. But then I think, in thinking about this interview and how the story from that initial stage took on a different life in a sense, not realizing as I was writing it, it kind of took on a different, it went on a different path. It kind of emulated what I kind of went through my life, being introverted, having that, not fitting in all the time, and it kind of just took over a different path and a different story. It's just about empathy and kindness and perseverance, and life doesn't always go as planned. It wasn't until, I want to share this with you, my husband was seriously injured. It was a very traumatic experience, and I think a lot of that part of my life and how it changed me as a person and how I parented my children and how that was kind of brought about in this book.
Now you have 2 children.
I do.
Tell me about them.
My oldest is 20, and my youngest is almost 14. I've been very blessed. Life isn't always goes as planned, but then blessings do follow in ways that I feel that truly.
So when you got back, now you graduated from Rick.
I did, yes,
and
my
then
undergrad.
you went and you got your master's degree at Providence College?
I did.
In
yes.
what
Literacy.
major? Literacy.
Mm-hmm. Literacy specialist, coach. So it kind of, I did my undergrad like I've been teaching, this is my 21st year as a special educator, but I didn't go back for my master's until just recently, about 2.5 years ago. So I just graduated this past August.
Congratulations.
Thank you. So I just feel like reading and literacy have always been important pieces for me. But again, with life and busyness, and things take time, and with that perseverance and that grace, that things do end up working out the way they're supposed to. That's kind of how I feel.
So how did the book evolve?
After revisiting it and being with my children and seeing how they interacted with it, I actually brought a sample to my school to see how the other kids would interact with it, and they really loved it. So I brought it to a local publishing company, and we sat down and they helped me through the process of getting it into stores or get it completed so that I can share it with others.
Now you have a collaborator who did the illustrations.
Yes, her name was Jamie Forgetta.
And where is she from?
She's also from Rhode Island. She was referred to me, and we worked really closely together. A lot of the ideas are my ideas with her talent. Like, I could never, illustrate the way she did, but she truly took what I was thinking and put them in the illustrations.
And translated for you.
Yeah, she really did a beautiful job. Yes.
When did the book come out on the market?
January of this year.
And how's it been doing?
It's doing pretty well. I'm getting a lot of great feedback from adults, from children, which is the most important because they will tell you the truth. They really do pick up the messages that I intended in the book.
What are some of the most important messages?
The most important, I have to say, it all depends on how you come to the book as a reader and where you are. So the most important message, I think, for me was the perseverance and just showing grace and just going along and just continuing to be that good person, and things will all work out. But there's also a story of inclusion, of acceptance, regardless of different abilities, things of that nature that really come out in the book. I've had several parents come to me whose children have autism or speech problems that have purchased this book to help their child cope with those differences also. So I've received a lot of different positive...
So there are many layers here.
It's the intention. I'm just surprised or grateful that people are seeing those different layers in the book and how it's helping them cope with different things. It's a children's book. It's very light, but it has those deep messages in it.
What is it intended for age-wise?
It's basically for 6 years on, usually between 6 and 9 years old, only because there's some vocabulary that might need to be explained in there, but the premise of the story is definitely able to be understood by a kindergartner, for sure. So I am very proud of it. I am.
You should be. Very much so.
It's a big deal for me.
I spoke to I'm in the process myself of writing another book, so I met with the publisher this morning, and he was very happy with the progress that your book is making, and you've done a good job and everything. You have a very important message on a professional level for people who might they're laid back and they want to do a book. They want to write a book. What advice would you give them?
They can absolutely do it, honestly. It's a great process. You feel fulfilled after doing it. If anything else, if just something that my children will have, the hard work and of just going through the stages, it can absolutely be done, and it's a very exciting process. And just to see it from the beginning to the end,
How long did it take you?
It took. It can
Well,
take
you
as long as you
started
want
as a
to.
middle schooler.
Yeah, right. And then as the process started, and then going back and forth to make sure like all the little details. I'm super detail oriented, so we went back and forth many times with the little things, anything from like the way his fur looked to his eyes and the expressions, all that with the illustrations, because to me the illustrations are just or more so important to bring across that feeling of the story. So, but the process was about a year maybe, but it was also trying to find a publishing company that was trustworthy, that would, lead me in the right direction, which I was very happy with the people I work with.
And I met them this morning,
Yeah.
and I am extremely happy
Yes,
as well.
they're wonderful.
Would you like to read a little excerpt from the book?
I would love to. Okay. So actually, I could, I can skip through it if you'd like.
Sure, you would do whatever.
But I just to kind of show you some of the illustrations. I don't know, it's just my favorite part. I just love the illustrations. So there once was a lion who could not roar. And it goes through and says how the animals made fun of him. And he was very sad. He could not understand why he couldn't roar. And then it goes through his journey. And he's looking for answers. And he travels to a place where, of like the wise man who knows all the...
Who has all the right answers?
Has all the right answers or the good advice.
All right.
He doesn't always have the answers, but he has meaningful advice. So he's still, as this illustration shows, he kind of left without answers, but he continued to be a good human, good animal human, and showed grace. And in this story, he happened to find a little girl that was lost, and he helped her find her way. And not knowing what he had done by helping her, as he continued to show grace, even though he had his own worries, he put his own worries aside to help this little girl. And then he was rewarded with the biggest roar, which this is my absolute most favorite illustration. This is my favorite page. He had the biggest roar, the whole jungle trembled, and all the animals were like, it was so cute. I love this. This is my favorite page.
It is so beautifully
I
illustrated.
love it. She did such a nice job. We worked so closely together. She was really, really good about about sitting together and really getting it just the way I wanted, like right down to the tiniest detail. She was wonderful. And I thought it was really important with the font to be written a certain way to really get across the story, and certain words were bolded where...
The use of color is very beautiful.
Yeah, I like it. Thank you so much. So, and just at the end, it kind of just proves that, even though we are all different in different ways and we're all going through different things, it's always important to show empathy and kindness to those people in those situations. That's kind of where I was going with it.
That toucan is gorgeous.
I know. Oh, actually, the story, I'm so glad you mentioned that. The story behind the toucan, a lot of people notice it, but they're not really, they've noticed, the children notice it. It seems like the children notice it, but the adults don't always. Throughout each page, you see a little bit of him each time. And then...
So he is evolving.
Yes, with the lion, exactly.
That is so cool.
So I'm so glad you picked up on that. So, and then as each page goes along, he gets, you see a little bit more of him and a little bit more of him, and then towards the end, there he is in full...
In full bloom.
Yeah. So, meaning that he has, lion finally found his voice. So, and I don't know. I am really proud of it. I am. It took a lot for me to do this, especially
going through school and.
I don't know. Just as a kid, it's just out of my character to do this, to be talking to you is really a big deal for me, to break out of my shell a little bit.
So it's helpful for everybody, but this is exceptionally beautiful.
Thank you. I really appreciate it. I really like it. Thank you.
So what additional advice would you get, like, to people who might want to break out and try their
well, if being
knack at publishing?
They can definitely do it. It's a great experience to see your work come from the beginning to the end, especially me being, I guess, me more on the quiet side and the introverted side. If I can do it, it's a wonderful experience for anyone to get out there. I love meeting the people I'm meeting. It gets me out of my comfort zone, definitely, when I'm at shows.
When I did a book signing, I had so much fun meeting the people.
That's true. And then speaking with the children, and then, you know, they sit there and they're reading. I'm like, well, what do you think? They're like, oh, they give me a thumbs up. I'm like, oh, that's good. So, but it's nice to see how people are really excited about it. And then, like I said, they read it and they really enjoy the story and they want to share it with their family.
It's very good.
Thank you.
So what's next?
Maybe a sequel. I don't know. We shall see. I'm not sure. Right now, I'm taking this all in, absorbing it all, and I hope that people do enjoy it.
Why did you choose animals?
Why did I
Was
choose
it something
Honestly,
going way back?
I had a little stuffed animal. I was always big into stuffed animals when I was a little girl, and I had a little one similar to this that my grandma gave me, my Nonna. And I held on to that forever, for as long as I can remember. And I don't know, it just was something, I guess subconsciously you're writing a story and he happened to be that character for me. So.
Because animals play such an important role in our lives.
They do. They do, with feelings and, you know, especially with characters. If you're even reading the story to children, these animal characters take on the feelings and the beings of, you know, how we feel as people, and it's kids can relate because it's a, you know, a
you know, this is our, like today with us, this is our 68th show.
That's amazing.
And
how exciting.
I am very gratified to know that our audience is spreading all over the world.
That's great.
Not only locally, we've got followers in many countries in Europe and beyond.
Really? That's wonderful.
So this is good. So there is an audience, and people love animals.
I know. Yes, they do.
And they can relate to animals.
Yes, I agree. Yes.
So you're going to continue on with your work?
I think so. Yes, I really love it. I truly do.
Any ideas?
Honestly, I was thinking I may switch gears from this. Being an educator, that's where my brain always is, and I feel like my oldest son, we were speaking of my children, he's has dyslexia, and he's always struggled with school and things. So I was thinking of, because children are always trying to find a relationship with what they're reading. So with the dyslexia, I was thinking of writing a book for a child who has dyslexia. You know, I may have trouble reading, but I'm great at, you know, taking things apart and putting them back together without any directions, like things like that, because that's the dyslexic brain. So I was trying to think of that's kind of brewing for me, because that's another near dear to me, seeing, you know, something for.
And that's another very important message.
So that's kind of where I am right now.
What are your plans, your future plans for the book? Where can it be found?
It's currently available through the publisher, Stillwater Books. It's available
in Pawtucket.
In Pawtucket, yes, Pawtucket. It's also available on Amazon. It's available at Barnes & Noble, but right now only online, not in the store. And I believe that's it at the moment.
And you've done some book signings.
I have. I'm trying to get a little more exposure. I was my first event was at the Situate Arts Festival, where I met other great local
and
authors.
You met me.
I met you.
And that was fun.
Yes, it was. So, and I loved being around other authors. I thought it was just, again, a whole different place for me to be in that kind of mindset. It was really nice to speak with others about that kind of what they went through in the process.
That was a nice fair.
Yes, it was. I also, at the upcoming November 28th, I'll be at the Viking Hotel in Newport at the Artisan Festival there.
Which is a lovely event.
I've heard, yes.
That is a fun event.
Mm-hmm. And so I was glad to be accepted to be there. Again, just for more exposure.
So you're doing the right things.
I hope so. I hope so. I'm really enjoying the process, that's for sure.
Very good. Talk about the illustrator. We got to give her a little plug.
She actually, she's local. She's out of, I want to say Situate also. She's illustrated many books for the publishing company. She has like a different way of doing things.
It's a unique style.
Yeah, she actually, it's all done now on an iPad, which I thought was amazing, but she could do all the different textures. Like each illustration, just say, just for his main, there were certain things I wanted her to do there. She was able to do it, like add textures to the pictures. But she's phenomenal. She could do all kinds of different, this is not how he initially looked. So has a wealth of ideas and talent. And she has a whole genre of what she can do also in the art world. So she's pretty fabulous and great to work with.
I have to ask you a question. Do you have a favorite animal?
I actually love cats. I'm a cat person.
A cat person.
I love cats.
We have had several cat judges on the show. And they're always fun. They've always tried to give me a Persian to take home, or a Himalayan. So do you have any cats?
Not at the moment. We're actually in transition of homes right now, so we don't have a pet at the moment, but that is the plan.
Have you ever had a dog?
My husband has. I haven't. I've always had cats. I've always had cats.
In these 68 shows that we've got run the gamut. We've had fish, and the only thing I refused to take on was to bring a monkey. I would not bring a monkey.
Oh my goodness! Yeah.
There was a monkey in the
yes.
In the
and he's hanging from the tree like they usually do. So.
But that is the one thing I would not accept.
Yeah.
I said no.
Because you can't. Yeah, here he is. Yeah, because they are hard to, keep on.
Excuse me. Hard to train.
Yes, yes, silly.
And I don't want to be bitten.
So, but I do love it.
Do you bring a lot? Our animals? You work with special ed children?
I do.
Do you do a lot of reading with them? You're a literacy specialist.
Yes.
What about for children? Do you do a lot of stories, and do they draw and write?
Oh yes, we definitely. Well, it's part of what we need to do anyway. Yes, but it's definitely they're writing all the time, and we allow to make their own books. That's part of the process. It's getting them to love writing, love that whole process, and not have those constraints, because yes, we have to teach them certain things in writing, but to also allow them that time for that free write and that imaginative writing, using different materials. In the lower grades especially, the kids make their own books. That is part of something that we do.
And I bet they love this book.
Yeah, I'm very fortunate. I've received a lot of positive feedback. I'm very happy about that. But it's definitely where the love of writing begins is when they're really small, and giving them that outlet to do those things and not have those constraints.
Has this book been translated yet?
Not yet, but several people have suggested that I do so. Yeah, that might be the next step, actually.
That would be very, I can see that, of course, with the Hispanic population. And I would also see, this would be a very nice story to be translated into Portuguese. There is a growing market in Portuguese literature.
Oh, I didn't realize.
In the Azores and on the continent.
Really?
In Angola, and this would be very I taught bilingual education for a while. This would be that would be a great book in Portugal.
Really? Well, my district that I work in, we do have a large Hispanic population.
Yes.
So that's definitely, many of the books that we have in our classrooms are English and Spanish. So it is truly something that children of all cultures should be able to access.
This popular book would be global.
Imagine that. So
it goes to show you that there are sometimes we are eager to throw things out, and we need to keep them because they're going to hang around for a while.
You never know. Yes.
You never know.
Yeah. So it did sit in a bin for a while, but it has always been near and dear to me. It really has. And then just kind of, took on the final piece from there, just little by little.
I'm going to give you, let the publisher get a plug. They've done some really nice, I met them today. They have done some really good work.
Yes, Stillwater Books.
Stillwater Books
in Pawtucket.
In Pawtucket.
Yes, they
do some great things.
Stephen, Dawn Porter, they're wonderful. Great to work with. Really want to make sure that they can carry through your vision of what you're thinking. They don't pressure into certain things. It's whatever you want, how you want it, the timeline you want. It's entirely our decisions from beginning to end. They're wonderful to work with.
I found them to be very enthusiastic.
Yes.
And very supportive.
Yes, perfect word. Super supportive. Most definitely. So I felt very fortunate to have met them and been working. And even now, even after it's all done, I still go to them for questions and what can I do next, or what's coming up, or what's something I should be involved in. And they support you through that whole process.
I am told that we are coming to an end. Okay. This was fabulous. Yes. I have had so much fun with you.
Thank you. You as well. I appreciate this.
We are very honored to have you today, and we wish you continued success.
Thank you. Thank you for having me. I appreciate it.
Very good. Thank you.
Thank you.